Nation newspaper today, 6th of March 2024. And now quickly on the cover story, the cover page of Punch newspaper, we can see a story here that says food smuggling. Federal government intercepts 141 grain trucks. Drivers threaten strike over attacks. Food smuggling. Federal government intercepts 141 grain trucks. Drivers threaten strike over attacks. It says here that in continuation of measures to address the food inflation and cost of living crisis, the federal government Tuesday said it had so far intercepted 141 trucks attempting to smuggle grains and other staples to Niger Republic, Chad, Cameroon, and the Central African Republic. The Comptroller General of the Nigeria Customs Service, Bashir Adeni, said that the service had within 2 weeks arrested about 120 trucks smuggling food items from Nigeria, while the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission stopped 21 food trucks from leaving the country on Tuesday. That you'd find with the headline of food smuggling. The federal government intercept 141 grain trucks. Drivers threaten strike over attacks. And now looking at the next story, 3 Kwara Naira racketeers jailed, forfeit 1.3 million naira. 3 Kwara Naira racketeers jailed, forfeit 1.3 trillion naira. And now it says that police tighten security as PDP APC supporters besiege Plateau Assembly. Police tighten security as PDP APC supporters besiege Plateau Assembly. And next, there's a story here that says 767 manufacturers shut down in 2023. 767 manufacturers shut down in 2023. The Manufacturers Association of Nigeria has said that 767 manufacturers shut down operations, while 335 became distressed in 2023. And now this came against the backdrop of exchange rate volatility, rising inflation, and other economic challenges that have worsened the investment climate. MAN stated this in a statement in which it condemned the recently introduced expatriate employment levy by the federal government. And here is a story that says that Army Chief dismisses coup calls, demands good leadership. Army Chief dismisses coup calls, demands good leadership. And we'd see on the Punch that Binance ends services in Naira. Binance ends services in Naira. And here's a very sad story to say. It says that a 16-year-old student electrocuted on Abuja school premises. 16-year-old student electrocuted on Abuja school premises. I do pray and say that his soul rests in peace and his families find fortitude through the whole process. And now let's take a look at this day newspaper and check on the stories making the headlines. Here on the cover page, it says that IMF Fitch welcomes CBN's interest rate hike, says policy decision good. IMF Fitch welcome CBN's interest rate hike, says a policy decision good. And this comes with 4 riders that says multilateral institution declares Tinubu inherited difficult economy. The second rider says insists Nigeria still capping petrol prices. Insists Nigeria still capping petrol prices. Now, it says the third writer says rating agency lack of policy coordination remains risk to reform drive. Lack of policy coordination remains risk to reform drive. And now the last, which is the fourth rider, says that project inflation to average 26% in 2024. Project inflation to average 26% in 2024. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, has said it will next year in regards to the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria. It says that 335 manufacturing companies became distressed, 767 shut down in 2023. You find the story on this day newspaper, and more here. It says that the federal government opens talks with AFDB for funding of multi-trillion naira coastal trans-Sahara highways. The federal government opens talks with AFDB for funding of multi-trillion naira coastal trans-Sahara highways. And next, and that would be hopefully the last for this day newspaper. It says here that at second expanded MSME clinics, Shatima hands over 200 new stores to lucky traders in Adire store. At second expanded MSME clinics, Shatima hands over 200 new stores to lucky traders in Adire market. This one here comes with one rider that says inaugurate ultra modern fashion hub in Lagos. Inaugurate ultra modern fashion hub in Lagos. Vice President Kashim Shettima on Tuesday announced the handover of 200 newly refurbished stores for use to 400 entrepreneurs at the popular Ashero Adire market in Abuja. The beneficiary to thrive. Shettima announced the gesture at the second edition of the expanded National MSME, that is the micro, small, and medium scale enterprise clinics in Abuja, Ogun State, and that you'd find on this day newspaper. Moving on quickly to Nigerian Tribune, it says here on the top news, that is the cover page, it says Army has no desire to truncate Nigeria's democracy. Army has no desire to truncate Nigeria's democracy, and this was said by the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, on Tuesday, restated the commitment of the Nigerian Army to Nigeria's democracy. And here we see on the latest update that Oronshire's report, lawyer seeks establishment of Ministry of Climatic Change. Oronshire's report, lawyer seeks establishment of Ministry of Climate Change. And also in regards to Ondo Guba, it says that PDP stakeholders failed to reach agreement on consensus candidate. PDP stakeholders failed to reach agreement on consensus candidates. And the next story on the leadership newspaper, it says here that awards, only drastic actions can save Nigeria's economy. Only drastic actions can save Nigeria's economy, says Mogalu, and this was said at the Leadership Awards. Now, latest headline reads 326,000 tickets for Paris Olympics opening ceremony. 326,000 tickets for Paris Olympics opening ceremony. And now it says that Fidelity wants Barker to tell pardon me for that error. It says here that Fidelity Bank vows to promote environmental sustainability. Fidelity Bank vows to promote environmental sustainability, and this one here, it promotes environmental sustainability, stressing the need to reduce carbon footprint and low carbon economy across institutions in the state with their corporate social responsibility initiative. Its CSR initiative, he stressed, is aiming at expanding plastic waste collection in Nigeria, both in corporate LCDAs and manufacturing sectors. The bank stated that the determination to initiate waste recycling and productions across institutions and corporate sectors in the state while reducing the harmful effect of carbon footprint and waste pollution. You'll find that story on the Leadership newspaper for this morning, March 6th, 2024. And now taking a look at the next story here, it says that Peak wants Barker to tell fans truth about the club. Peak wants Barker to tell fans truth about the club, and that is a sports story. Now, looking at the next story here on Leadership newspaper, apparently most of the stories this morning are related to sports right there on Leadership. So if you are a sports fan, you definitely want to get a copy or more copies of the Leadership newspaper. But now again, it says that I am not desperate to be president, says Peter Obi. I am not desperate to be president. And lastly, it says that we uncovered plot to break into state assembly, swear in APC lawmakers. We uncovered plot to break into state assembly, swear in APC lawmakers, says Plateau government. And that you'd find on the Leadership newspaper for today. Let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper and see what is making rave on the worsens tech adoption. The protracted foreign exchange crisis has found expression in computer hardware and software, cutting consumer electronics importation by as much as 45%. You'd find that story on the Guardian newspaper for this particular morning that we are talking right about now. And on Daily Trust newspaper, on the cover page, it says Nigerian Daily, ways the Naira notes can land you in jail. Ways the Naira notes can land you in jail. And now this has piqued my interest, so I'd like to run through the ways. And then it says that defacing of the Naira is a common practice among some people. It is evident that Naira notes from the lowest to the highest denominations come as means, but later gets defaced in circulation. In this episode of the Daily Podcast, we look at the ways the wrong treatment of the Naira notes can land one in jail, and that you'd find on the Daily Trust. So if you can, which you should, get to know the ways that the Naira notes can land you in jail, get a copy of the Daily Trust newspaper. And now, still on the Daily Trust newspaper, Boko Haram abducts dozens of female IDPs in Kano. Boko Haram abducts dozens of female IDPs in Borno. In Borno State. Boko Haram abducts dozens of female IDPs in Borno State, and then it says, and some young boys. But 3 of the girls who escaped and returned to Ngala said the boys, who are insurgents, took them to a bush close to Buka Mariam village in Chad Republic. Now that is a very punchy story, if you do ask me. Now let's even take a look at the next here. on the Daily Trust newspaper. It says here that reps link food shortage to prolonged insecurity. Reps link food shortage to prolonged insecurity. And also, blackout delays Senate plenary at National Assembly. Apparently, the National Assembly experienced its own level of blackout sometime yesterday. Senators failed to commence plenary on time due to a blackout that struck the National Assembly in Abuja. Now, some of the senators who went into the red chamber to commence the business of the day were cited sitting in darkness and looking frustrated. Correspondents gathered that the development stopped some senators from attending plenary yesterday when they got wind of the babies. Okay, so the next story here says that Yobe traders seek motor park in Kano. Yobe traders seek motor park in Kano. And lastly, Luth performs surgery to free 13-day-old child's esophagus. Luth performs surgery to free 13-day-old child's esophagus. And let's take a quick look at the Nation newspaper before we jump into this morning's analysis with our two guests in the studio today. And on the cover page, it says here that our economy, same paper, that 72,000 tractors needed to enhance food security, says the minister. 72,000 tractors needed to enhance food security, says minister. And Nadeco chief gets honor in New York. Nadeco chief gets honor in New York. Now, when we're talking Nadeco, that is a National Democratic Coalition, and he did get an honor in New York, actually. And also looking at affordable energy, NNPC in talks with Mesoverse. NNPC in talks with Mesoverse. And lastly, it says that alleged $6 billion fraud. EFCC has powers to prosecute Agunloye. Alleged $6 billion fraud. EFCC has powers to prosecute Agunloye. And here it says, and it comes with one rider that says, Anti-Graft Commission replies ex-minister. Anti-Graft Commission replies ex-minister. The EFCC has said it has powers based on judicial precedent over alleged $6 billion Mambila hydroelectric power plant. EFCC is prosecuting Agunloye, who served under former President Olusegun Obasanjo, for alleged infractions on the power plant. And with that, that's that on the stories across the dailies. We've taken a look at Punch newspaper, This Day, The Guardian, Nigerian Tribune, The Daily Trust, Leadership, and The Nation. Now to our listeners, we would like to tell you to call in on 0903 2229 797 0903 2229 797, or you can send us a message via WhatsApp on 0818 2222205 0818 2222205. We do implore that you call in so you can air your opinion about or in regards to most of these stories we'll be reviewing this morning, because we can't do it alone. It has to Many thanks for staying tuned. Welcome back to the newspaper review right here on Citizen 93.7 FM. As you know, it is a half hour mark, and that means it's time for me to bring on our in-house analyst and also our guest this morning, Mr. Salman Salami, who is a Chief Operating Officer and a seasoned journalist, and also by the side, our in-house analyst. Good morning, Mrs. Salami.
Good morning to you, Shehu, and good morning, our teaming Super Citizen listeners.
All right, and also Mr. Abdul Rees Sholanke. Good morning, sir. He's also a veteran journalist, very good in his field. Thank you very much for joining me this morning and also being a part of this.
It's a beautiful morning.
Yes, it is indeed. Now, let's quickly take a look at the specific stories. We'll start with the Punch newspaper, where we have on the cover page, food smuggling. The federal government intercepts 141 grain trucks. Drivers threaten strike over attacks. Apparently, in consideration of measures to address the food inflation and cost of living crisis, the federal government Tuesday said it had so far intercepted 141 trucks attempting to smuggle grains and other staples to Niger Republic, Chad, Cameroon, and the Central African Republic. In the view of that, Mr. Salamisa, what do you have to say about this?
Once again, very good morning to our Super Citizen listeners. This is a very serious issue and it borders on patriotism. It borders on what exactly do Nigerians think about Nigeria. Well, we have been saying it here that no other national can fix Nigeria but Nigerians. And this has to do with our mindset. What is our attitude to this entity called Nigeria? Do we really love ourselves? Do we really love our country? Do we really bother about what concerns us? Yes, the government has a duty, because the essence of governance or government is protection of lives and property and the welfare and well-being of the citizens. This thing. But more than that, we the citizens too, we have a duty to this country. A situation whereby we are talking or crying about shortage or food shortage, yet some unpatriotic Nigerians, yes, they are unpatriotic, are taking these foodstuffs outside the country to Niger Republic, Chad, Cameroon, and Central African Republic. This is unpatriotic, and this to say the least. Well, let us appreciate the Nigerian customs for having what I will call eagle eye and intercepting 141 grain trucks. This is quite a huge number. We know, we appreciate that the businessman or any businessman is interested in making profit. We agree. But then we have a big problem on our hand. And this is not the time to take food out of this country, because we are battling with shortage of food. Let's be interested in this country. Let's think Nigeria. Let us prioritize this country. The government cannot do it alone. We citizens too, we have a duty to our country. Let's stop at that. Let me stop at that for now.
All right. Before I move over to Mr. Abdulwaris. Let's take a call from one of our callers, but unfortunately, I just missed the call. So if you're listening to me, please do try and call in. The number to call is 0903 2229 797 0903 2229 797, or you can call and also send a message via WhatsApp on 0818 2222205. I do apologize for missing out on that particular call. Now over to you, Mr. Abdul Waris. In regards to the interception of 141 grain trucks and the drivers threatening strike over attacks, what do you have to say about this?
Let me first commend Mr. Salman for using the right word, the issue of patriotism. You see, what the custom actually intercepted, I want to assume that it is an underestimation of the number of vehicles with goods or grains that they take out of Nigeria to Benin Republic, to Cameroon, to Niger. It is a lamentable situation that smuggling is not just a business in Nigeria, it's actually a culture. That it is assumed that to make it, you just have to be smuggling. You understand? So people, a big business, smuggling is it's not even a business, it's a culture that people find it easy. Things that are meant to be consumed locally, whether we are in season of plenty or not of plenty, people smuggle out of the country mindlessly without giving any consideration to the country, to the citizens of this country. So we want to commend the customs or the government for coming out to say that this is the number of trucks that were seized. But I tell you, on a daily basis, if you want to know the number of trucks that leave Nigeria, perhaps it is also in connivance with bad elements in the Nigerian Customs Service. So we commend them for seizing that number of trucks, but the customs need to be more eagle-eyed, because those smugglers, they are very, very smart. They can discover all kinds of routes out of the country. So it is the number of routes that these people are able to discover that they can only estimate that they have seized. But I tell you, as the customs is taking them this route, they are discovering new routes. So the customs needs to be more eagle-eyed. The government needs to also invest more in the customs to be able to police the Nigerian borders. Nigerian borders are so porous, very, very porous. If they don't go through the land borders, some go through the waterways. It is not only grains that are ferried out of the country. They ferry petroleum products as well. So a lot of smuggling that has become a culture in Nigeria has to be taken as with high hand. I want to say with high hands. If people are not punished for such crimes, it's a crime of monumental dimension. It is a crime against the economy of the country. It's a crime against the Nigerian state that these people must pay for the price of sabotaging the Nigerian economy, sabotaging the Nigerian security, because once there is food crisis, it's a security dimension. It leads to food insecurity. So it's not just economy, it's something of monumental security dimension. If some people are making it in big ways on a daily basis, milking the nation, causing disruption into the imbalance in a national life through smuggling activities.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Abdul for that pointers. And now let's even move on to the next story here on the Punch newspaper that says Army Chief dismisses coup calls, demands good leadership. Army Chief dismisses coup calls, demands leadership. Good leadership, actually. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Abuja, on Tuesday said personnel of his service had accepted the democratic system of government in place in the country and had no plan to truncate it. Lagbaja described personnel of the Nigerian Army under his leadership as agents of democracy. And his statements comes in the wake of a series of coup allegations against the military. And now, Mr. Abdul, let's even start with you on this point. What exactly do you make of the story this morning?
You see, where are these insinuations coming from? By the Nigerian citizens themselves. You understand? Less than years, decades, without disrupting the orderly governance. It is we that we have to look at how can continue to reform our system. It is reform. It is improving our processes, our governance processes. It is going the way of reform, and everybody has a responsibility to ensure that these reform projects that are ongoing in the country, they reach their ultimate end. The ultimate end is progress, is development.
All right.
The ultimate end is to ensure that those things that were initiated in the past follows because I always say Nigerians will have what I call evolutionary impatience.
Okay.
We have to evolve in this society. There are pains to necessarily bear. We know that one. But in spite of that, it is a process that we must undergo. We must learn to pay certain prices to reach our El Dorado.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Abdul-Waris. And also, I would like to hear what Mr. Salami's take on this story with the headline that reads, Army Chief dismisses coup calls, demands good leadership. Mr. Salami, please.
We thank God Almighty for having this crop of officers as service chiefs. I want to thank, personally, I want to thank General Taoreed Lagbaja and the erstwhile Chief of Defense Staff, General Chris Musa, for believing in this entity called Nigeria. It is unpatriotic for anybody, whether civilians or the disgruntled opposition, political opponents, as it were, to incite the military to truncate democracy. It is unconstitutional because it is clearly stated in our constitution how the country should be governed and how power should be devolved. Coup is a criminal act, and even a recruit in the army knows the implication of embarking on that satanic and evil act.
Okay.
We thank God that we have these generals, these patriotic gentlemen who believe that the army has no business truncating democracy. And I want to plead with our people that for now, democracy is still the best form of government. It is not the military government. And in any case, the military, they have no constitutional right to take over the reins of power. But our people should be careful. We should be very careful. We should not incite these people to take overpower. And we thank God for the crop of military men that we have today, because some people feel that whatever happens in the West African sub-region must or should happen in Nigeria. Patience is the word. We need to be patient. We are making progress. I agree that democracy has not really satisfied the yearnings of our people, but to some extent is still delivering the bountiful dividends. Rome was not built in a day.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much, Mr. Salami, for always being exactly on point. And now, moving on quickly to the next, it says here on Daily Trust newspaper that blackout delays Senate plenary at National Assembly. Blackout delays the Senate plenary at National Assembly, and this happened yesterday. And it cost them to commence. Senators yesterday failed to commence plenary on time due to a blackout that struck the National Assembly in Abuja. And some of the senators who actually went into the Red Chamber to commence the business of the day were sighted sitting in darkness and looking frustrated. Mr. Salami, sir, over to you.
Well, it is good that the senators now too are really at least they are having a feel of what quite many Nigerians go through on a daily basis. In fact, there are some places in Nigeria that what they pay for is blackout. Quite many places do not enjoy electricity or power.
Very true.
Well, good morning. I will just tell them that good morning. At least they can now feel what others are going through. There is a need to fix the energy sector.
Very true.
Quite a lot of money has been sunk into this. What do we get for it?
Okay.
People pay for blackout and not electricity. There is the need for the federal government.
Here in Nigeria.
You say?
No, I'm asking, here in Nigeria, people pay for blackout and not electricity.
No. On many occasions, you discover that you don't have light in so many places.
Very true, though.
And there is the need for the government to fix this very critical sector of the economy, because it has multiplier effect on other sectors. Thank God that they experience what ordinary Nigerians do experience on a daily basis.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Salami. Because of time, let's quickly check this story that says that our economy not in distress, says Tinubu. The President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has come to say that the economy is not in distress and the current situation is not beyond redemption. Now, the same story comes with two writers that says that reforms will take country out of challenges. Mogalu backs President bold reform programs, and you know that he said that time was needed to address the issues, and they spoke at the 16th Leadership Conference and Awards held at the Trasco Hotel, Abuja, and the theme was an economy in distress, which way forward? So I ask you, analysts, this morning, starting with Mr. Abduwaris, what do you make of this, and also which way forward, as they have, indicated on the theme?
Well, which way forward? Definitely, it's reform. So many areas of our economy that must be reformed. We have been talking about diversification. Diversification is not just in the agricultural sector. In all spheres, to seek opportunities where we have least comparative advantage before, we can still get more comparative advantages from those areas. There are so many areas of the Nigerian economy that we can leverage upon to stimulate productivity in the country. Look, foreigners, because sometimes when we have private discussion with some foreign friends or colleagues, foreigners seem to even have more value or see more opportunities in the Nigerian economy than we Nigerians ourselves. What are those people saying that they have so much faith in our economy that we Nigerians are not seeing? Understand? So the government needs to quicken the pace of the reform in the economic sector that is going to ensure that more people are into the productive sector, and we have opportunities to also attract more foreign investors that are going to also invest in the Nigerian economy. So many areas that people are willing to invest in the Nigerian economy. So many incentives that should be given to Nigerians, not only Nigerians, foreigners. So many incentives to be given so that these people can be encouraged to come and invest in the local economy. All those areas, those are the areas that should be looked into. So many other areas, the government now needs to also see how to stimulate so that people can be encouraged to participate in various areas of production in the Nigerian economy.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Mr. Abdulwaris. Mr. Salam Isa, what exactly would you say about this particular story of what our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has said?
Well, let me first commend Mr. President for doing what leaders should do, giving hope to the people.
Exactly.
That the Nigerian economy is not in distress. And let me also tell our colleagues in leadership newspapers that if there is no country called Nigeria, we cannot practice journalism. The country first. Look at the title of the topic they choose. Economy in distress. Just look at that. Economy in distress. Which way forward? So judgmental. So unpatriotic. I wonder why Nigerians do not talk well of this country. Our economy is not in this subject because it was at a time